I have to move that so I can see it. Welcome everybody to the ordinary meeting of the Wellington Shire Council on the 21st of August. I'd like to do a special welcome to our very full gallery of friends and family of our soon-to-be inducted youth council. So a very special welcome to you all. I'd like to first state that members of the public gallery should note that the council records, publishes council meetings via YouTube to enhance the accessibility of council meetings to the broader Wellington community. These recordings are also archived and may be published on council's website for viewing by the public or used for publicity or information purposes. At the appropriate time during the meeting, members of the gallery may address the council, at which time their image, comments or submissions will be recorded. Members of the public who are not in attendance at the council meeting but who wish to communicate with the council via the webcasting chat room should lodge their questions or comments early in the meeting to ensure that their submissions can be dealt with at the end of the meeting. Please, good gallery visitors and councillors, ensure that the mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting. Please stand for acknowledgement and prayer. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gunai people, and pay respects to their elders past and present. Almighty God, we ask your blessing upon the Wellington Shire Council, its councillors, officers, staff and their families. We pray for your guidance in our decisions so that the true good of the Wellington Shire Council may result to the benefit of all residents and community groups. Amen. Amen. Item A2, we have a full complement, no apologies there. Item A3, Declaration of Conflicts of Interest. Councillor McCubbin.
Yes, indeed. I have a conflict in regard to item C 5.5 in regard to the Wedge. That conflict is a direct conflict in regard to item 28 of the Local Government Act.
Thank you, so noted. Item A4, confirmation of minutes of previous council meeting. Councillor Briagolong.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I move the council adopt the minutes and resolutions of the ordinary council meeting of the 7th of August 2018.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? The motion is not opposed. The motion is carried. You right, Councillor Briagolong? Yep. Item A5, business arising from previous meetings. We have none there. Item A6, acceptance of late items. Councillor Hall, we have a late item.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Do we move that we accept the late item?
I'm going to move that we accept the late item it's not up there yet. Okay, I'm going to move that
we accept it before we move the item. So you're right. We need a seconder for that we accept. Oh, everybody. Councillor McCubbin, is that motion opposed that we accept a late item? No, the motion is not opposed. The motion is carried. Now, Councillor Hall, you may. I determine that we can move this motion now. So if you want to.
Right, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to move that the Mayor write to the Minister for Agriculture, seeking advice as to what support options are available to Gippsland's farming community, who have suffered 2 years of severe rainfall deficiencies, without receiving any drought aid from the Victorian Government.
Thank you. Is that motion seconded? Councillor Ripper. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, we seem to be the forgotten corner of Australia in relation to the drought. Yeah, New South Wales and Queensland are getting all the media attention and good luck to them. They're getting all the donations and support from their state governments. According to the Weekly Times last week, we are experiencing a 1 in 20 year rainfall deficiency, and you only have to drive around our shire, particularly in the dryland areas, although we you notice that on the irrigation, on the MID, the hay is also being fed because of the slow growth. But if we had been in New South Wales, our farmers would have received freight subsidies for towards the grain and hay deliveries. They would have got some grants for the farms. They would have received a waiver on vehicle registration and on some of the government fees. Well, we've got 2,363 dryland farmers in Wellington, and the Bureau of Meteorology map shows that the region from Morwell to Mallacoota have conditions that is worse than most of New South Wales. But the New South Wales government has provided $1 billion in drought support. In Victoria, our government has offered Gippsland farmers a series of information sessions on how to handle dry seasons. So the motion is to request the Minister for Agriculture as to what support will be offered, and hopefully it'll be in the form of freight subsidies to enable the what is left of hay or grain, to enable the area that we've got to keep some breeders alive, because once this drought breaks, it's not going to be gold and platinum overnight. It's going to take 4 or 5 years for our shire to recover the stock numbers that we need to keep the area viable. In the meantime, so many of our traders in our towns, in Sale and all around the region, are suffering because the rural population just hasn't got the money to spend. So it is hurting everybody, and let's hope that the Minister for Agriculture will do something for Gippsland, even if everything stops at Tarrogin, including the rain. But I hope that we can get on top of, I hope we can get on top of the government and get their support.
And thank you for raising that motion. Oh, yes, we did. We did this before, didn't we? Thank you. Yes. I always get confused when we do that double. So, yeah, the motion's not opposed, the motion is carried. Thank you. So that was moved by Councillor. We got it up there? Good, thank you. Always seems to be do the double on that way. Yep. You right? Yep, great. Item A7, notice of motion. Item A7.1, we have a notice of motion from Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to move that the Mayor write to the current Health Minister, the Shadow Health Minister, and all nominating candidates as they are announced for the seat of East Gippsland, requesting that they provide an election commitment that the Maffra and District Hospital will be upgraded and modernised in accordance with the proposed Masterplan in the 2018-2022 parliamentary session.
Seconder for that, Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? The motion is not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Hall.
Yeah, thank you once again, Mayor. The condition of the Maffra Hospital came to my attention when I attended the annual meeting of the Central Gippsland Health Service late last year, and in that time I've had several discussions with the CEO at the hospital, and then to bring in some expert advice for guidance. Our CEO and our General Manager met with the CEO of Central Gippsland Hospital, and they would love to have us throw our weight behind the development and redevelopment of the hospital. The current structure is beyond the agenda of its life. The environment is limited by shared bedrooms with an insufficient number of bathrooms. The current industry standard in residential aged care is for single bedroom with ensuite floor plans, and this severely impedes Maffra Hospital's ability to be competitive in the market and negatively impacting on the operational viability. The maintenance of the current structure is becoming an increasingly difficult and expensive task. This includes suboptimal thermal and energy efficiency. The viability of the facility is vital as a high proportion of the staff employed at Maffra Hospital reside in the Maffra community. Central Gippsland Health Service is unable to fund a major redevelopment at the Maffra Hospital. The construction of purpose-built facilities will enable the hospital to deliver enhanced subacute and acute services to the Maffra community. Provision of these services will translate to Maffra patients being able to access more services in Maffra, thus reducing the need to travel to Sale for treatment. The intent of the development is to increase access to fit-for-purpose healthcare facilities for the Maffra community. This will include a decentralisation of health staff from Sale to support the delivery of acute, subacute, allied health and residential aged cares. And I have some happy memories of the hospital because my 3 eldest children were born there. So, councillors, I commend this motion to you.
Thank you, Councillor Holt. Yes. I thought we got one. We've already done it. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. You're trying to confuse me again.
We've done what we started this, right?
Yes, we did.
Just confusion, just ignore us. Moving on to item A8, receiving of petitions or joint letters. We have a response to a petition and planning permit application P203 2018. Do we have any petitioners for that item who wish to speak before this motion? No, in the gallery. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to this item before we move on? Yes? Thank you. If you just want to state your name and you have your 3 minutes. Thank you. And just realise that you will be recorded as well.
Sure, thank you. My name is Donald Linsby. I'm one of the owners of the property the application is for. Obviously, we've got a lot of community interest. A lot of it comes from a Facebook post that raised some concerns with the application. Unfortunately, for some reason, I was blocked from commenting on that, so I couldn't address most of those. But I think I just want to make a couple of points. I've owned the property approximately 18 months. It's been operating since then. We haven't had any complaints to council or police or anywhere else that I'm aware of. We have spent about $250,000 upgrading the property, including landscaping, painting, asbestos removal, which I think has enhanced the entrance to Rosedale, being it's one of the prominent properties as you come into Rosedale. The future use of the property is a number of things. One is we provide accommodation to farm workers. There's a lot of seasonal vegetable picking farm workers that we provide during the vegetable season. On the off season, which is now, we have some forestry workers planting trees and etc. And numerous other workers who come into Gippsland on various short-term contracts. We also want to have the option in the future to look at accommodating over 55 people in terms of a affordable type retirement option for those people. Obviously, if you're over 55 and you don't own your own house, you're probably on the age pension, and that's noted in the application that you might be on government assistance. That created a lot of fear from the community about what government assistance meant, but I think there'd probably be very few people in this room, myself included, whose parents aren't on some sort of age pension if they're over 55. And I don't think we should be discriminating against people over 55 who are on an age pension just because they haven't in a position where they can self-fund their retirement. Obviously, there is some accommodation in Rosedale. It's a bit rough, notably the caravan park, which I'm aware of, and it seems there's concern among residents that we're going to duplicate that. Having spent a lot of money on the property, as I said, over $250,000, the last thing I want to do is get a lot of tenants in there are going to cause damage and a lot of turnover and non-payment of rent, which is common in the type of tenants that I guess the community is concerned about. So we've got 3 properties in Gippsland. We have a strong financial commitment to Gippsland. I have family in Gippsland, and it's our intention to continue running the property the way we have been running it, which hopefully brings in some much needed population and income to Rosedale. And we sort of can understand the community's fear about if the rumours were true that we're duplicating the caravan park. I absolutely agree that I would be signing the petition, but that's absolutely not the case. That's it. Thank you. Just if I could say, if I'm very happy to take anyone's calls on this. The number's on the front of the property. You'll get my manager, she can give you my number, or you can see me after the meeting. I'm very happy to talk to anyone and address their concerns directly if they've got anything I haven't answered directly tonight.
Thank you for that, and thank you for that offer as well. No other comments? Okay, we'll move on to the item. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. I move the Council advise the head petitioner that the petition received relating to planning permit application P203/2018 will be treated as a formal objection, and the issues of concern will be considered as part of the final assessment of the application.
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Hall, is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just by way of comment and observation, Mayor, this petition, I think, was received at the last council meeting with some 103 signatures and relates to the planning permit application I referred to, received by council on the 7th of June 2018, and was to change the motel use of land at 2232 Princess Highway, Rosedale, to a residential building to facilitate more permanent occupation of the building, as we just heard from the owner. I think for anyone that's not exactly sure where this building is, I think it's more commonly known locally as the White Motel, and I think that's referred to in the petition. It's referred to as the White Motel. The land is zoned residential, and it should be noted that in the planning scheme and the council plan, both documents are supportive of affordable housing outcomes. I think the key point that needs to be noted, Mayor, is that the next step in the permit process is for council to hold a planning consultation mediation meeting with the permit applicant and objectors to the application, and the head petitioner, who we will be treating as a objector, will be invited to be involved in this process. And following that step, the next step for the council planning officers will be to make a decision on the planning permit application, and as a result of that final decision, all parties involved in this planning permit application Mayor, will have an independent right of review by applying to VCAT, the Victorian Civil Administrative Tribunal. I think that sums up the matter, and where we'll go from, we'll see where it goes to from here, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Moving on to item A9, invited addresses, presentations or acknowledgements. I believe Councillor Rippo, you have.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to make an acknowledgement that on the 16th of August 2018, the Victorian Disability Sector Awards, and we were fortunate in the Wellington Shire, and I'd like to congratulate James Griffiths, who's the chair of the Wellington Access and Inclusion Advisory Group, as finalist, as an emerging leader. Also, congratulations to the No Boundaries Cricket Gippsland with our Wellington Volunteers finalist volunteer award. And this is one of my committees that I'm on, and I can assure everyone that they are very worthy recipients in this area. So, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to attention, and please pass on our congratulations when you're next in the committee. I'd also like to make an acknowledgement in that I believe it's Councillor Stephen's birthday, so happy birthday today.
Time to forget. My youngest son sent me a messenger message and told me I was closer to 70 than 60 now, which I really enjoyed.
I also have another presentation in that I met with Fiona Owen last Friday, who is the new CEO at the Gippsland Women's Health, and we have a partnership with them as part of our one of our committees, and certainly a great provider of services to our community. And she passed on this document and requested that I sign this document, a part of the Gender Equity Victoria peak body for gender equity, women's health and the prevention of violence against women, to support the 100-day election advocacy campaign running into the state election, to support their campaign of to advance gender equity, to promote women's sexual and reproductive health, to prevent violence against women, and to support the development of a sustainable peak body. This document and this declaration is totally in keeping with our council's 2017 to 21 plan under the section of to maintain a friendly and safe communities, providing opportunities for residents to lead healthy and active lifestyles. So we've had a chat around the table, and all of the councils are in agreement with these principles, so I'm very happy to sign it publicly to declare that we support the priority of Victorian Government action for 2018 and 2021 for a better equity and healthy and safe environment for women and children. There we go. Well done. Thank you. Moving on to item A. Hope that wasn't common. Item A11, which is the Mayor and Councillor Activity Report. Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move that the Mayor and Councillor Activity Report be noted.
Thank you. I have a seconder for that. Councillor Bai. Is that motion opposed? The motion is not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you very much, Mayor. I think that this report is always interesting because it just shows, again, the depth and breadth of activities that councillors become involved with, representing the council and the community, out in the community. And I just wanted to make particular note because at the last meeting I made reference to the very successful Australian Opera presentation of Mud Butterfly at the Regent Theatre Yarram on the 20th of July, which Councillor McCubbin was the main organiser of, and thanks again to Councillor McCubbin. But I was very remiss because even though I sent an email to the CEO at the time thanking him for the involvement of the Wedge staff, I failed to publicly thank the staff of the Wedge for their assistance in this event. And it was the Wedge actually organised the ticket sales and also provided technical staff to help with the bump in and bump out. And the staff of the Wedge were invaluable. Their help in particularly Mel Delano, who's the I think the front of house manager at the Wedge, and their help was invaluable in this event. And we've now, actually since the last meeting, it was quite good to see Councillor McCubbin's been able to distribute largesse for both the Gippsland Regional Arts Council at Sale and to the Regent Theatre, who shared in the profits. And it was a very profitable event. I think we made something like about $6,500 net profit. So that was a wonderful outcome, as well as it being such an excellent event. So thank you, Mayor. I'll now, with your leave, pass over to Councillor Bai, who would like to comment on the small business function on the 7th of August.
Thanks, Councillor Stevens. Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I'd just like to comment on, it's been a small business festival that's been running in the Shire this month. I was lucky enough to attend one that was featuring Gus Balbonton. Gus was from Argentina, and what an entertainer he was. But I just thought I'd point out, it was a sold-out event, well attended, and quite a lot of the events that were on this month to celebrate the Small Business Festival have been well and truly participated. But a lot of times people go left Australia that have organised that. I'd just like to pass on to Jeff Hay, part of the economic development team at the Shire, and his whole team on such a successful running of the small business festival events in the Shire. So well done to his team.
Thank you. And also, just adding on to that, I think that the attendance at the Wellington Shire, across the Shire for this festival, was responded really well from the business sector, and actually outshone our neighbours. But certainly that these are well received, and the uptake is terrific. And I know that uptake is also due to the hard work that the team do to actually encourage and bring those workshops and forums to our business to assist them. So well done to the whole team. There was another one that I thought was worthy of note, was the celebration of the Royal Flying Doctor service that was their 90th year, which is pretty incredible. And I was there for the cutting of the cake, and there was I think there was about 6 90-year-olds there with us to do it. So that was a pretty notable event. It wasn't Councillor Stevens. But it was also very important to note that there was also a roundtable of stakeholders, and the Wellington Shire is a very active stakeholder in the business of the Royal Flying Doctor Service. Is that we are home to the road transport base that coordinates and operates the whole service across Victoria, and that was really highlighted that was a continuing partnership and really a key decider, they said, because usually they brought their services all back into Melbourne, but really the partnership that we were able to support in getting an appropriate and repurposing the old gambling den, should I say, at the Sale football ground into a new technology centre with them, really made them rethink of where they do business and rethink about doing more business in the country instead of centralising. So that was a really good highlight of that stakeholder event. So happy 90th birthday, and it was also great to see that they had the mock-up plane going around to various primary schools so that people understood what service they did. And it was also interesting that although the average age wasn't 90, but that there did seem to be the predominant people that were in the donors were of the older generation, and I did give them the task to convince their grandchildren that this is an important provider of services to our community, and for them to think of donating in the future, because we can't rely on the 90-year-olds forever. So it's well worth considering. So thank you. Moving on to the main item. Item A12, Youth Council. A11. No, I've done that. Who's running this show? A12, Youth Council Induction and Youth Council Report. If we organise our... I'll get my running sheet for the youth induction. So we've got a organiser of our youth councillors to invite them. This is without rehearsal. But facing your mums and dads and family. Can I just say that we got into trouble because the mayor was at the back of the queue, so I think... That's right. It's the trouble being told. Okay, we're all ready to roll. I'm not blocking too many parents, am I? So, welcome to you all. This is an important day for you, and an important day for your parents. Now, please, if you say the oath after me, and to raise your right hand to repeat the oath. Got a right hand? We've all got the same one. That's good. So if you repeat the sentences after me, all together. I do sincerely affirm that. I will undertake the duties of the Office of Youth Council. In the best interest of the young people of the Wellington Shire. And faithfully and impartially represent the voice of youth. To the best of my skill and judgment. Congratulations. No, I thought that was going to be on the top. Now, if I introduce the new mayor, youth mayor, Beck Hector, and if she comes forth, so congratulations. I was looking for a B, but of course it's a Rebecca. So congratulations. Thank you. And I'll give that to you. Around this way. We're getting signals across here. There we are. Okay, so I'll have to hold, because you're my side wing now. And I also think we were inviting Alexander Nair as the new deputy mayor. Congratulations. Congratulations again. There we are.
Thank you for that one.
No, you're the mayor. Yeah. You've got a roll from now on. Well done.
Thank you for that one.
Okay, so we'll put that on. You get yours later. Okay, so as the new mayor, would you like to read out your fellow
Yes, I would.
youth councillors?
Okay, so Akana Bowers, our youth secretary.
There we are. Getting a bigger team now. Yep.
Everyone.
Yes? Good. Thank you. You could get to keep yours, I think.
Want me to stand here or go back?
Where are we standing over here? Yeah, just over this way?
Amelia Norman.
Congratulations again. Yep. Whoops.
Charlie Vernon.
Yep. Well done.
Ivan Reyes Eames. Sarah Williams.
Yep. Oh, he's not here. That's all right. We can acknowledge him. We have Seth Irvine, but he's not able to attend, so he'll get his certificate later.
Daniel Meafer.
We'll take lessons.
Chloe Bethune.
Whoops. We're getting crunched here.
And Ali McGregor.
I'm going to shuffle over this way so we don't get caught. Thank you. You got your certificates now, is it? Oh, and there's also another two that we'll acknowledge, which is Kane Allen and no, is it?
And
Rebecca Hurley. So they are also on the Youth Council. So congratulations to them as well. But they were. So now you get to take your certificates. Make sure we're doing it around the right way. And there will be a photo opportunity, and if the councillors would like to join our new Youth Council for this photograph, please come and join us, which slightly...
Carol, if parents have got to come up, should you like the parents up and take photos as well?
If any friends or family wants to do it,
Most to there.
Pardon?
Send them on their way now.
Oh no, they've got a report to do.
Oh, of course.
Yes. Whoop. Whoops. Okay. I'd just like to congratulate all of the Youth Council again, and also acknowledge that you've done some work before you've come here, and certainly on your retreat camp to make friends and get to know each other and start thinking about your priorities for the year, but also a step back further when you actually made the decision to put in your application and go through that process to represent the youth of Wellington. So we thank you for taking that step and wish you well for the future as you progress through your projects through the year. You're a very valued organisation, and it's great always to see the turnover of new members and also the returning of other youth councillors that were there before. So it's a great mix, and we look forward to your future activities and reports, which leads me on to we have a youth council report for us for this council meeting. So welcome, Youth Mayor, to the lectern. Oh, you left your notes. There we go.
She was expecting to take it a bit extra.
Yeah.
I'd be worried, yeah.
So we need it.
Good evening, councillors, parents and gallery. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we stand, the land of the Gunai people, and paying my respect to elders past, present and future. Not much time has passed since we started our journey as Wellington Shire Youth Councillors, but it has certainly been filled with activity. We have been on a leadership retreat where, along with getting to know each other, we decided on our values, the things that will drive our group and shape the way we act. We have helped Propeller with 2 freezer events and have the onboard skate deck art competition opening coming up on the 1st of September. We have allocated ourselves roles in the planning of our first big event, the second Upswing Festival, which helps celebrate all things in our community that are around to help our mental health. Clubs, organisations, activities and services. We are all really excited about this and are currently gathering partners from across Wellington to help make it a success. We plan that this festival will be one of our 4 main events annually in the Youth Council calendar. We also have other projects in the beginning stages of planning. A Q&A session with the state government nominees for our Gippsland electorates, and we're still working on the Homework Club Extra Time. We have also had opportunities to improve our skills, with some of us attending an event management workshop and many of us undertaking our first aid qualification a couple of weeks ago. We are working towards raising our profile within Wellington and are currently taking opportunities to speak at our assemblies, not only sharing activities that are happening around the Shire, but inviting youth to engage with us, letting us know what they want to see more or less of, and how they'd like to participate in the community. I know I can speak for all of the 2018-19 Youth Council when I say we are excited about the next 10 months as Wellington Shire Youth Councillors, and that we look forward to learning more about our community and the role of local government as we do.
Thank you, Ben.
Mayor, I move the Council receive the Youth Mayor's quarterly report.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor McCubbin. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Rossetti.
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks, Beck, Youth Mayor. I think the Mayor has said all of the things about what we value in having the Youth Council. From a former Youth Mayor of the City of Sale many years ago, I'd have to say that we didn't achieve anything like what the Youth Council does today. I think we've got a few rubbish bins in MacArthur Street and then they got taken out pretty quickly. But the fact that what I really appreciate about what Youth Council does and what you're doing in your agenda here is it's actually looking after the community around you. The community that a lot of people who are getting up into their closer to 80 than 70, or even us who are closer to 60 than 50, we don't get. We don't see what's happening in your group of peers. And the fact that you can actually undertake these projects and provide for that community is really important to all of our community, because you're best placed to be able to do that. So well done on the amazing projects you're obviously taking up here. Look forward to seeing the progress in the way through. No doubt all of you will actually take away from this process a lot as well as giving. There are some who would say that being on council is difficult, but it makes you a better ratepayer. In many ways, understanding what's going on in a process, in a council, in a government, I think you'll take that away and understand how you can get things, achieve things later on in life as well. Beck, I'm going to say that the chair is well and truly ensconced with Councillor Crosley. But if you leave your notes there too often, we might actually swap you over quickly. Because a bit of a change is as good as a holiday, so they say. Well done.
I'll just, if the Youth Council and friends and family would like to vacate this room, the chamber, and enjoy Meg Caprucio with the Youth Council Liaison Coordinator offer at Kerang Room for light refreshments. You're quite welcome to do so now. But thank you for attending. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item B, which is Delegates Report. Councillor Ma.
It was a pleasure to attend the National Timber Councils Association 2018 Local Government, Forest and Timber Industry Conference on the 9th and 10th of August at the Anglis Conference Centre in Melbourne. The theme was Timber, a National Asset, and there was a great attendance by local government and industry representatives from across all states of Australia. The variety and breadth of speakers is certainly a credit to the hard work undertaken by the association, and I congratulate them on their effort. The conference brought together all facets of the timber industry, giving them a platform to discuss their achievements, obstacles and thoughts that they experience in their day-to-day work operations. Overall, the message is positive, but it highlights that there's much work to be done, particularly in the PR space. The message is important. Few realise that 50% of the dry weight of timber is carbon, thus proving that wood is naturally better. Wood makes us feel better and can reduce stress, and it can also benefit our indoor air quality. The Make It Wood campaign by Planet Ark makes a lot of sense, and it's great to know that the Wellington Shire Council has a wood encouragement policy that promotes our local timber industry. Wood is good. Wood can be sourced responsibly, and selling their story, that is the hard part. Local industry was well represented with speakers from our local township of Hayfield, Gippsland Forestry Hub, the South Gippy Agro-Forestry Hub, and Timber 2020, adding to a great conference overall. I've been advised on good authority that the evening dinner was fabulous, with Tony Abbott, the invited guest speaker, who gave a great off-the-cuff speech. And on a positive note, the waiters and chefs at the Anglis Institute were all trainees, and some, it was their first week, and what a fabulous job they all did. So all in all, I would encourage anyone who has the opportunity to attend next year to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Councillor Maffra, very good report. Last week I attended the Rural and Regional Forum in Melbourne. It was probably the best attended forum in the last 9 or 10 years, and they're held twice a year. In fact, the numbers that have come from country Victoria exceeded those of the metropolitan area the previous week. There was a few things that were raised that could be concerns for us down the track, but it was raised by Rob Spence, as most of you know. He's the retiring CEO. He finished up yesterday. But he did bring to our attention that the Local Government Act probably won't get up in this term of Parliament. It's Bill 18 out of 22, and the 4 bills behind it are all financial bills, so that may not get attended to. The new Municipalisation of Victoria Act hasn't had a lot of traction, and the Victorian Auditor General's Office is deliberating over the MAV insurance schemes and their application in relation to the Act. However, one of the concerns raised is the defined benefit scheme. For those of you who are not aware of the defined benefit scheme, it's a guarantee by local government that the employees or the officers will retire on a certain set amount of money. Fortunately, the scheme is now gone, but there are those that are out there that are still getting the benefit, and not only will they get the benefit until they die, but any of their beneficiaries will also get the benefit. The concern is the current vested benefits index is 106, which is not too bad, as long as it's doesn't get under the 100. But the problem is that the probabilities of not making a call on councils is only 37%. So we've already had 2 taps on the shoulder in the last 16 years, and the possibility of getting another one, we've been forewarned. But the operators or those who handle the defined benefit scheme couldn't put a date on such an event happening. On recycling, ours was going to Vietnam and Thailand as well as China, but now being stopped because of the contamination. China's now looking at recommencing recycling in their own factories in other countries, and Europe is still working within their own boundaries for their own disposals. And one of the presenters at the National Timber Council was Australian Paper, who dealt with their project as they worked through working with their Chinese owners in the event of spending $600 million to bring up a recycling plant. So we hope that happens, because we are desperately going to need it. The Picker project has currently got about 50,000 registrations, and that's before voting opens, and each regional partnership will get $1 million. 2 years ago, it was proposed to remove all assets from the CMAs and transfer them to the councils. Anyway, it stalled. Now there's some amendments going through to the CMA drainage system, and a drainage committee will be formed by the CMA and councils, and councils will be requested in fundraising to help the system operate. Now that'll all come up in the new Water Act, which we hopefully, I don't know whether the draft is out at this stage, but it can't be far away. And that's when we also have to get our bid to have fire plugs and fire hydrants covered by the Water Act and not by local government. And the note I've got here said that DELF is driving it, and the future will impact on councils significantly. On insurance, the MAV has been audited by the Auditor General. Now they probably have much details about our council. And one other interesting thing which we would hope would happen but won't go far, is on the financial assistance grants, or the FAGs, that Rural Councils Victoria had a delegation to Canberra to seek adjustments to the grants. And what they're asking for, that rural councils will receive an extra $400,000 at the expense of metro councils. And that, Mayor, briefly sums up 4 hours.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to receive the delegates' reports, please?
I move that the delegates' reports be received.
Thank you. Seconded Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? Motion not opposed. The motion is carried. Thank you. Just on your notes, Pick My Project, the voting is now open, so people can go to that website and log on their address and put their vote. So voting is happening now. And also, regarding the waste issues, that's very much why it's come to a head with all of local governments having to deal with this issue. So that is why we've got the Get It Sorted campaign with the Wellington Shire to actually clear up some of the myths and the misunderstandings to reduce the waste. So if we reduce the waste, we reduce the cost of sorting and of dealing with the issue at the individual, not at the other end. So people can get on the website to have a look at that, or Facebook page, or also the Instagram campaign. So address it at source, I say. Thank you for those reports. Moving on to the item C, Officers' Report, Chief Executive Officer's Report. Councillor Rossetti, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the Chief Executive Officer's Report be received.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bye. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Rossetti.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to grab one thing there, which is the Avon River Bridge, the meetings about the Avon River Bridge project, because it's one of those areas, Mayor, that often as a community we need to bang on about things to get them happening. You recall it wasn't that long ago that the line to Bairnsdale was actually closed, shut, never to return again. It's only community force and advocacy that has got that back open, and indeed now is getting the improvements needed to actually make the service half reasonable for the people in our shire, Stratford obviously, but right through to East Gippsland. There's lots of those areas that we need to keep banging on about. The duplication of the highway only occurred because we and the community and various groups around kept banging on about it. The flood-proofing of the South Gippsland Highway in recent times, it's only happened because we banged on about it, along with others in the community. The ambulance station upgrade, the police station upgrade, the Port of Sale, all these things need people banging on about it. And these meetings are the critical elements, but also the community being able to talk to their local members to get that happening. I'm very excited to see that happening, because that will improve the service not just for Bairnsdale and for obviously Stratford, but it'll improve the service right through. And we know now with the way that the transport works in vehicles getting into Melbourne on the southeastern car park, that the rail service is much more important now than it's ever been. So I thank CEO for attending that meeting, but acknowledge the work that's done by many in the community over a long time that gets us to this work being done.
Thank you, Councillor Rossetti. Yeah, as you say, advocacy is very important. Banging on about it. Brings us to item C 1.2, July Performance Report. Councillor Hall.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I move that the Council receive and note the July 2018 Council Performance Report as attached.
Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Hall. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Hall.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, the report comprises key highlights towards achievement of the 2017-2021 Council Plan. And highlights include, as we've noticed tonight, that 12 passionate young people were announced as our new 2018-19 Youth Council, hailing from Sale, Maffra, Yarram Secondary Colleges, Catholic College, and Gippsland Grammar. And we've been privileged to witness their induction and receive their report tonight. Congratulations to all of them. We need to highlight two fabulous performances we've just seen recently with Madam Butterfly at the Regent Theatre in Yarram and Marina Pryor at the Wedge. Having attended both, can I say we are well served with a very high standard in the performing arts. The gallery continues to go from strength to strength with exhibitions and school holiday activities. And as we note, the Maffra Solar Farm has received planning approval. Again, 4 Gippsland councils, Bass Coast, East Gippsland, South Gippsland and ourselves have all committed to explore the potential establishment of shared services for the benefit of all of the municipalities. And these are just a few of the highlights. Can I commend the report to you to obtain a fuller understanding of the length and breadth of the activities taking place. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I move the Council note and receive the attached Assembly of Council records for the period 31st of July 2018 to the 14th of August 2018.
Thank you. Have a seconder. Councillor McCubbin. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. You fine? Thank you. Moving on to item C3.1, the June 2018 planning decisions. Councillor Marr.
I move that Council note the report on recent planning permit trends and planning application determinations between the 1st of June and 30th of June 2018.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Hall. Is that motion opposed? The motion is not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Marr.
This is a good news story. Recently, the State Government Planning Permit Activity Report for 2017-2018 confirmed that our planners are providing an above-average service level, and they certainly need commendation on their achievement and hard work to achieve that. Looking at the decisions between the 1st to 30th of June, it certainly highlights a strong development that's been occurring along the coast, which was more recently highlighted in the Gippsland Times. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marr. Item C4.1, the Cairnbrook Road Glengarry Reconstruction Works. Councillor Hall.
I'm going to move the Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report at item F1.1, contract 2018-074, Cairnbrook Road Reconstruction Works Public Council meeting, and that all the confidential document and clauses as per section 2.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Bye. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. I can now announce the successful tender as QR Constructions Gippsland Proprietary Limited. Congratulations to them. Do you wish to speak to that, Councillor Hall?
Well, there's only a little bit. It's a pavement reconstruction of Cairnbrook Road, but it doesn't come cheap. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item C4.2, another reconstruction contract. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm happy to move the Council adopt the recommendations contained in the attached confidential tender evaluation report at item F1.2 for Gelliondale Road, Alberton West Road Widening Works Contract 2018/077 and point 2 as set out in the Council agenda will be adopted.
Thank you. Was that a wave, Councillor Ripper, for a seconder? Thank you. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. And I can now announce the successful tender as Bairnsdale Road Services Proprietary Limited. So congratulations to them as well. Do you wish to speak?
Yes, just briefly. Thank you, Mayor. This road work is going to be very important for the Alberton West District. I mean, Gelliondale Road is probably more known locally and colloquially as the Tap Tap Road, and this project will proceed from the Pound Road West corner, which where the old Alberton West tennis courts exist, up to Forest Lodge Road. It's a very well used road. A lot of people travel along this road and use Lanes Road to actually connect from the South Gippsland Highway into the Alberton West, Jack River, Binge and Worry areas. So I think that this is a good news story for the local community. They'll be very, very happy about this road widening taking place. And yes, we shall look forward to seeing that project carried out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Moving on to item 5, General Manager Community and Culture. Item 5.1, Briagolong Rec Reserve Committee of Management Minutes. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council receive the minutes from the Briagolong Recreation Reserve Committee of Management's general meeting held on the 16th of July 2018, and we will take paragraph 2 as read per agenda.
Thank you. I have a seconder for that. Councillor Hall. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Rip? Fine, thank you. Item C5.2, Gordon Street Reserve Committee of Management Minutes. Councillor Hall.
Mayor. Council received the minutes from the Gordon Street Recreation Reserve Committee of Management's general meeting held on the 25th of June 2018.
Thank you. I have a seconder for that. Councillor Hall. Is that motion opposed? Motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Hall.
Just a couple of little things to come out of the minutes, Mayor. One is the success of the Vintage Engine Rally, and people travel from all over Victoria as well as New South Wales. And the good thing about it from a tourist point of view, most of them, because of their travelling, hang around the Shire for about a week, so they do contribute to the economy of not just only Hayfield, but Sale and Maffra. Two other things that the committee are concerned about is trying to find funds to upgrade their mower. It's an old mower, and it needs a replacement. And also the complex, because of the extraordinary high cost of the power for the basketball stadiums and football sheds and pavilions, is looking to see whether solar power could be an alternative. And I think you'll find that both those issues of need will surface within our organisation very shortly.
I think DELP is running a fantastic program at the moment for community rec reserves and things to apply. Get onto it.
That'd be nice. How much has council got to throw in?
Thank you, Councillor Hall. Moving on to item C5.3, the Maffra Rec Reserve Committee of Management Minutes. Councillor Ripper.
Thanks, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council receive the minutes from the Maffra Recreation Reserve Committee of Management's general meeting held on the 2nd of July 2018.
Thank you. Councillor Stevens seconded. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. Councillor Ripper, thank you. Item C5.5, the Wedge and Masterplan Advisory Group membership. I believe counts. Oh, we got 4. Oh, we got 2 Maffras. Very apart. Membership. I've read Maffra. Missed. Thanks. 5.4, Maffra Rec Reserve Committee of Management membership. Councillor Ripper.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move that Council appoint the Poultry Club representative to the vacant committee position as detailed in the attached confidential report to the Maffra Recreation Reserve Committee of Management the remainder of the 3-year period ending 18th of December 2018. Paragraph 2 will be taken as read per the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor Stevens. Is that motion opposed? The motion's not opposed. The motion is carried. Sorry for missing that before. Fine. Yes, they do. And congratulations to the Poultry Club representative. Now we're moving on to item C 5.5, the Wedge, and I believe we have a conflict of interest.
Thank you indeed, Mayor. Indeed I do. I have a director's interest under Section 77B of the Act because I'm the Treasurer of the Sale Theatre Company and the Treasurer of Gippsland Regional Arts, both of which produce shows at the Entertainment Centre. I shall now leave the room.
So noted.
Thank you.
Do we have a mover of that motion? Councillor Bry.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I move the Council appoint the nominated community representatives to the Wedge Masterplan Advisory Group as detailed in the confidential attachment. I also move the Council adopt the amended terms of reference for the Wedge Masterplan Advisory Group Attachment 1 and Item 3 as read.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Rossetti. Is that motion opposed? The motion not being opposed, the motion is carried. Councillor Bye.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Since the opening of the Wedge Entertainment Centre in December 2003, yes, a long time ago, how time flies. Back then, a community advisory group was formed to meet quarterly and represent the general community views for the centre operation, along with council representatives as well. And since I've been on council, I've attended those quarterly meetings as well. The Wedge, being nearly 15 years old, is due for a master plan update. Rather than put this task upon the existing advisory group, we're going to expand the group to include others. We advertised in the Gippsland Times in November and May and sought expressions of interest from the local community members with a mix of skills, experience and networks to help with the master plan, along with council representatives. So we're expanding the group with such an important task at hand. The Wedge had 19,025 people, yes, 19,025 people use the facility to see performances in the 17-18 financial year. You can see how important the facility is to the community. We look forward to the advisory group updating the master plan for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. We just let Councillor McCullum back in. Do we take a vote on that? Welcome back. Moving on to item D, urgent business. No urgent business. Moving item E, further gallery and chat room. Any commentary from the chat room? This is the moment that the general, we can have general comments from the gallery. This is an opportunity of members of the public to raise any particular matter they wish. This allows those in the gallery to speak directly to the councillors, but to understand it's not a forum or designed to be a debate or a Q&A. We will listen respectfully and what you have to say and make commitment that as Mayor there will be a response to you in writing within a week if required, and a copy of that response will be circulated to all councillors. So if there's anybody on a particular item, and please, you may come forth. Please state your name for the records, and also to realise that this will also be recorded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
3 minutes. Thank you.
Neil Barraclough. I brought a Gippsland Times in with me to highlight the issue I intended raising, drought outlook grim, but Councillor Hole, I think, raised the issue adequately earlier. He spoke about how long it would take to build up stock numbers again after this drought, and I think mentioned a period of maybe 4 years. This drought is, I think, about 21 months of below average rainfall. I record the rain for the Bureau of Meteorology at Merloo, and that is how I just calculate it from memory. The Bureau is presently divided on their predictions for the next 3 months, with the pessimists predicting a 50% chance of below average rainfall, but the optimists are predicting a 50% chance of above average rainfall. I have basically been predicting this drought, or a high probability of it, since around 2009, and I am saying that there is a significant chance, or well above random probability, of this drought continuing until at least March 2020. Now, that is basically just a prediction for the future, and I don't expect you to follow that, but I would like you to have a look at the present. Now, the feed supplies are running out. We're talking about, or the excess, the fodder is becoming far less available. We're talking about lobbying the government for subsidies in transport, but the hay and the grains are simply becoming far less available, and a significant factor that's going to contribute to the destocking is the kangaroo numbers throughout the dryland country in the Wellington Shire. I'll put a perspective on this. I destocked. I was carrying, I think, around 15 dexters on my 17 acres during the good years, and prior to the drought, I dropped down to about 15, dropped down to 6. I dropped down to around 6 and I'm now carrying about 6 dexters, where I was previously carrying 15. And I did a walk around with the spotlight a couple of nights ago and counted 17 kangaroos. Now I'm looking at having to destock because the feed is running out, and the significant factor is the kangaroos. And they are worse across a lot of the areas than where I am, and the kangaroos are going to significantly contribute to the need for farmers to destock, and as such increase the time period in building up again. Now, there is a second issue with the drought and the kangaroos. I've read references in the past to soil bacteria being a contributing factor to the precipitation of rainfall and the formation of ice nuclei, which induces rain. And the way we're seeing the kangaroo numbers and the lesser numbers of stock and the drought, we're looking at a lot of topsoil blowing, and we are going to be losing soil bacteria, which is the land's basically means, which is the land's way of contributing to the rainfall that falls on the land. Now, this is irreversible, largely irreversible, or it's not like 4 years with stocking up after the drought. You're looking at thousands of years for these soil bacteria numbers to build up again, quite likely, hundreds to thousands of years, and the kangaroos are going to be a significant factor in the topsoil blowing. And I am calling on Council to give consideration to lobbying the government for a means of controlling the kangaroos, and a particularly good one would be a managed pet food industry based on kangaroo meat. It could even be for human consumption, but like they're talking about giving I think I heard figures like $1 million low interest loans. A kangaroo culling would be more effective. The farmers don't have to pay off a loan, and it could be like revenue neutral or revenue positive for the state, and I think it is going to be a very critical factor in the future.
Okay.
And please give thought to it.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you. Hello, John. And just before you speak, can I bring to your attention the second paragraph regarding the presentations, that this is not a forum for general public to lodge specific complaints against individual officers, council staff, that we've got a different process for that. But if this is on another item, you're welcome to go ahead. So if we can have your name, please, John.
John McLendon. I could not, haven't got a good hearing now, I'm sorry. We're referring to kangaroos, not to make any more comment tonight by me about kangaroos.
No.
I'm sorry. Well, following on from Neil...
Just to clarify, it was to make... so I was drawing your attention to the second paragraph about the rules that apply to the comments, about that it's a forum for not to lodge specific complaints about individuals, including officers or staff, that there are other processes. So that was just, I was drawing your attention to that.
Was that directed?
Nothing about kangaroos.
Well, I hope it wasn't directed to me, because I had no intention of targeting any councillor or officer tonight. I'm here speaking about the prevalence and the damage that kangaroos are doing, and the lack of action by Victorian state government. They seem to be well behind New South Wales and Queensland in controlling kangaroos and making the best of kangaroos. Now, kangaroos is very good meat, and we've got a lot of kangaroo hide can be used. But I think above all that is the way kangaroos are dealt with. They see there's so many kangaroos now compared to a year or two back that I've given up getting a permit or asking. I don't shoot them myself because I'm not a good enough shot now, because they've got to be put down humanely, professionally. And I think there's a lot. I really understand there's not one farmer among the councillors, is that right? So, you know, you can be forgiven for perhaps not understanding the problems kangaroos are creating, as well as the trouble they're making on the roads. So many get killed between Longford and Golden Beach, and I don't think that's necessary. There shouldn't be such a kill as there is. But I'd just like the council to make to put a motion up to investigate and perhaps ask the VFF what their views are. But if council is responsible, surely they will do something about this prevalent kangaroo population that's costing farmers and costing motor car owners. I think you've got enough to hang on to there. So we would like to see a motion tonight, please, that kangaroos be a subject of discussion and to be dealt with. Thank you.
Kangaroos aren't in our sphere of influence, but certainly it might be better to speak with DELP, which is the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, which would be the responsible authority to make decisions on kangaroos. Thank you.
Keith Mills, farmer from Crooked River. I'd like to congratulate the council on its resolve to seek funding for drought-affected farmers. It's refreshing to see that the farmers are taking the interest of the council in their time of need. I think it's important that council, whatever funds it does manage to attract, spends those funds efficiently. And to such end, I would encourage council to seek comment from farmers' organisations so that they're properly informed on what's going to be of best benefit to the farmers. And with all respect to Malcolm Hole, and it might have just been an example. I don't know that a freight subsidy is the best thing now, given that probably all the fodder resources have been sourced and that they're running out, and by the time these funds, if they do arrive, we may not be able to apply a freight subsidy. But given that may have just been an example, other people have commented that a rate subsidy might be worthwhile, and from my point of view, I think that could be seen as being equitable and efficient in its application, in that the individual doesn't have to apply for it, that it's permitted across the board to recognised primary producers, which the council certainly knows who they are within our shire. I think that concludes my comments, and I do thank the council for its resolve to seek funding on behalf of the farming community.
Thank you. Yeah, as you say, a very important item, and certainly we'll be consulting before we make any decisions on that, but certainly the first thing is to speak to the government on opportunities. So thank you for that support for that motion. Thank you very much. There'll be no more comments or any more comments from the gallery? No, I'll now declare the, nothing from the chat room anymore? No, I'll now declare the council session closed at, here we are, 7:26 p.m. Thank you very much.